With us this morning to review the papers, the entrepreneur Kate Hardcastle and the editor-in-chief of National World Cities, Nancy Fielder. Lovely to see you both again. And Nancy, we're to you front. It's the front of the first, and it's the front of the Times. And this is ambulance strike due tomorrow, and concerns that some very, very sick people might not be able to get an ambulance.
Yes, this is what happens when people who don't want to strike in care roles are forced to strike because the government won't listen to them. Because we've got an NHS that, for several reasons, but one of the big one being that people don't want to work there, they leave, and there aren't enough people being recruited back because it's a really difficult place to work. This is what happens. But let's also reflect back quickly on headlines we've had for several years in the newspapers. People have been denied full NHS services and full ambulance services because the service is in crisis. So the strikes are inevitably going to make it worse, but they don't have to have these strikes. The government has chosen to go head-to-head, told lies around the economics of whether we can afford pay rises. And I think the country is on the side of the NHS workers, and it's awful that people will possibly die because the government won't negotiate on this and won't take serious action.
Yeah, and certainly when I put that very question to the Minister, the Health Minister this morning, he would not be drawn into making that explicit statement. I want to go across the Atlantic. Kate, you've got the story inside The Guardian today, and this US Congressional Committee actually recommending some pretty significant criminal charges against Donald Trump.
It's definitely a milestone in that we've got a point where this committee that has been going for 18 months, they've had over 1,000 interviews, has reached the recommendation that Trump should face charges. But I think if we go back 2 years to that very infamous tweet where I think it was exactly maybe 2 years to the day, Donald Trump went out and said it will be wild because this very frustrated president, this desperate president, was wanting to change the outcome of that election, suggesting that there'd been fraud. It's been quite the journey so far. And I think what we have to understand from all of the detailed reports that's come through is there's still a long way to go before we know if this actually manifests itself into those charges, what will happen then. And in the meantime, we still have Mr. Trump, who has announced that he will run for 2024 with the very possibility of still doing so. Of course, everything is down to the American public and how they react to what might unfold from there.
Nancy, we're going to skip ahead a couple of stories because I've got it written down on my list as Mail, page 3, hobnobs. You've got 30 seconds. Take it away.
This is a vital piece of research from the British Medical Journal that hobnobs is the biscuit that survives longest if you dunk it. And I was suggesting Christmas week, every single viewer goes out and tries this because I think we all need a hobnob to cheer us up after a grim round of news.
Do you know what? Well, Kate, you are shaking your head there. You're not a hobnob fan, are you?
I absolutely love dunking a biscuit in my brew, believe me, but hobnobs, they leave residue in the bottom, Neil. It's not nice.
This is all getting a little bit too redolent of a Peter Kay routine for my liking. So do you know what? We're going to leave it